Hello, I'm Dinus the Mirror.
Without question, Booker T. Washington was the single most well-known African-American of his time and may have been the most celebrated black person in the entire world.
Future educator and orator, Booker T. Washington was born a slave on a Virginia plantation on April 5, 1856.
He had to work as a young child, and so he had to juggle hours walking miles and miles to school and then rush back to work. It was very difficult, but he was determined, and that's how he learned to read and write.
Washington was allowed to attend school while working as a servant, and in 1872, he befriended the founder of Hampton Institute, who offered him a scholarship to the school.
The emphasis at school was on industrial education, on crafts, on technical skills, teaching blacks and the former slaves how to make themselves valuable to the community in a very literal way.
Washington taught at Hampton before being appointed by General Samuel Armstrong to head the newly formed institute in Tuskegee in 1881.
This was a groundbreaking endeavor because Armstrong trusted this young man to go to Alabama and create something basically out of nothing.
During the post-Reconstruction period, tensions between African Americans and Southern whites were at a fever pitch. But as evidence of racial progress, Washington was asked to address a predominantly white audience at the 1895 Atlanta Expo. The speech turned Washington into a national figure.
The Atlanta Compromise speech is viewed as controversial because he essentially said that politics was for mainstream society and the thing for African Americans was to be separate as the fingers on our hand and not involve ourselves with white society.
Booker T. Washington saw that as a bargain that he had to strike. Those who disagreed with him felt that he had conceded far, far too much to the conservative white South.
In 1900, Washington formed the National Negro Business League to promote the economic development of African Americans. 1 year later, he chronicled his life in the autobiography Up From Slavery.
Booker T. Washington's autobiography was one of the most influential books published by an African American at the turn of the century.
Washington urged African Americans to accept their unequal position in society, while secretly funding litigation for civil rights cases. In 1905, however, leaders such as W.E.B. Du Bois renounced Washington's philosophy and insisted upon full civil rights for all African Americans.
There were people during Washington's time and even now who were very critical of Washington's racial politics. Washington was willing to trade political and voting rights for economic rights. And Du Bois and others said, that's too hard a bargain.
Washington remained principal of Tuskegee and wrote a total of 14 books before his death on November 14, 1915. He was buried on the campus of Tuskegee University.
Peace, family. I hope all is well. Hope your day is going well. I hope you had an awesome day. Hope you enjoyed your day. You're productive, all that good stuff. Once in a while, I feel there's a need to shoot a video just expressing my thoughts and where I stand, my stance on certain issues. And the reason why I'm doing this is because, I have a lot of new subscribers, new people who follow me, and I've spoken on these issues before, and I've shared my thoughts and my stance on the issue that we're going to speak on today. All right. Let me make myself very clear, and I've said this before, we've discussed this in the past. I am not anti-immigrant, but I am anti-immigrant who chooses to come to America, develops their skills, and refuses to go back to their countries of origin and build up their countries. All right. I have said that dozens of times. That's where I stand. That's how I feel. But I'm just so shocked. Like, why are people offended by that? Like, I don't understand. Why are you offended by me saying, hey, come to America, develop the skills, and go back and develop your country so your children won't be put in a position where they will have to leave Congo, Sudan, Sierra Leone, because there's no opportunity, and have to go to Fargo, North Dakota, South Dakota. I mean, who wants to leave Congo? Or who wants to leave Sudan or Freetown or Lagos to come to cold-ass Boston, Massachusetts, cold-ass miserable Detroit, concrete jungle caught New York City because of lack of opportunity, lack of institutions, and lack of building that's taking place in the country? Like, who wants to do that? Like, who wants to go out of their way? Who wants to leave the Gambia on and I've rowed one of those boats before when I went to Gambia, and it was terrifying. The little small, not the canoe or whatever it's called. When I got to Banjul from Dakar, I had an option of taking a ferry, or I had to take the little canoe. I took the canoe. There's about 100 of us on that little canoe, and I was scared to death. And they told me, like, look, this ain't nothing. This same canoe, Gambians, Senegalese, they will take this same little canoe up the coast all the way to Italy. I'm like, no way. They're like, yeah, they will do it. Who wants to do that? Who wants to be, do you want another generation of that? Like, do you want another generation of that? So I don't understand, like, when I say, hey, come to the West, France, England, Amsterdam, learn the skills. And then let's go back and develop the country so our children can have an inheritance. Or our children can make they can decide, do I want to go to the West? Or you know what? The institutions here in Africa are so on point, I don't have to go to the West to get educated. I ain't got to go to Harvard. I don't have to go to, the University of UK, whatever it's called. Our institutions are just as valuable here in Africa. Like, I don't understand what's the issue with that. And guys, I'm going to tell you, people who disagree with me, they've quit. Listen, if they get upset, they get offended, they've quit on their countries of origin. And that's fine. Listen, you have the right to do that. Like I said, I have no power on deciding who comes in and out of America. Everybody come. Everybody, like, come. I don't care. And we're going to disagree. We're not going to agree on everything. You have the right to disagree with me. But I just don't understand why a lot of people get offended when I say, come to the West, develop the skills, go back, build up your countries, so your children won't have to say, you know what, there's no opportunity here, the institutions suck, the schools suck, this, that, and the other, I have to come, and they're desperate to come to the West. That's all I'm saying. So Booker T. Washington, one of the greatest black men to ever walk the face of the earth. He implemented the Tuskegee method, right? In which Booker T. Washington will bring African immigrants to Tuskegee, teach them the skills on how to be how to be independent, under the condition that they go back and develop and build their countries. And I agree with him. But I don't see why people are upset by that. Like, come, learn the skills, go back and develop. So in that, your children won't have to go through what you went through. They can say, Mom, I'm staying in Freetown. I'm staying in Juba. I'm staying in Congo. No need for me to go. So again, I don't understand the fuss. But guys, that's where I stand. I'm for come to the West, develop the skills, go back, develop your country. And if you disagree, you disagree. No problem. We could disagree. If you're that offended, you want to unsubscribe and all this other stuff, that's fine. No problem. But that's where I stand. I don't see how that is a problem to think like that. Because at the end of the day, let's just be real. You will never have ownership in the West. Never. You will never have ownership in the West. Let me repeat myself. You will never have ownership in the West. Period. At all. You got Senegal, Gambia, Ghana, Nigeria, Angola, Kenya. That's our land. The West is not ours. Period. That's just the reality. Yeah, you'll have some trinkets. You know, you get you some automobiles. You know, you could show that you're successful. You know, you could get you a Porsche or whatever. I mean, you can have nice things, but you will never have full ownership in the West. Period. I don't care what they tell you. Instead of fighting for the American dream, why aren't you fighting for the Africa dream? Again, we would rather fight for the America dream, but not the Africa dream. We would rather fight for the America dream, but not the Sierra Leonean dream, not the Ghanaian dream, not the Congolese dream. But we will fight for the America dream. Then get offended when somebody says, why are you fighting for this American dream? Why aren't you fighting for the Africa dream? We give the West our best years, me included. I'm just as guilty. I am just as guilty. But we give the West our best years. Again, we give the West our best years just to retire in Africa. Then we want to claim that we doing something. That we built. Yeah, I'm building my 5,000 square foot house in Lekki. You know, yeah, you know, when I turn 75 years old, you know, and I retire from my job in America, I'm going to move back to Africa. Yeah, I'm doing something. Come on now. Stop giving the West your best years and give Africa some of those good years. That's all I'm saying. And if anybody's offended by this message, they're not serious. Until next time, family, Dynasty Mirror, search for Huru. Peace.